So, ladies and gentlemen, this is David, the sports and gamer nerd. I'm sitting here with a sister who is just unbelievable. Saroya Tinker is a professional women's hockey player. She also went to Yale and was a 4-year starter. And we're going to tell her story here. And I'm telling you, it's a blessing to have her on the show. She's just absolutely amazing. Um, really, really unique story. Just an ambassador for women, women's rights, Black people, Black Lives Matter. Just she's an ambassador for life, and I think her story is awesome. And I'm going to let her kind of do an introduction of herself. So you can.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to share my story and share my message because I think it can definitely influence a lot of people and help people out in their journey. So I'm excited to have a talk with you.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. So you grew up in Canada, and could you talk a little bit about just how you got introduced to hockey and when you fell in love with it?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Oshawa, Ontario, which is it's about 40 minutes outside of the city of Toronto. And my dad's Black, my mom's white. So my dad grew up playing hockey in Scarborough, which I guess could be considered the ghetto of the GTA. But my dad, he never played competitively or anything like that, but just really loved and enjoyed the game. But of course, my dad's 47, not too old, but at the same age, but at the same time, definitely endured a lot of racism throughout his career, and with that, he wanted to put his kids in it. So myself and my three brothers have played hockey. And I'm just the one that decided to go full force with it. So because of what my dad endured, he just wanted to show us that we can prove people wrong. And since I was about 6, I've been playing hockey and have clearly flourished in it and have loved and hated the sport at times. But here I am.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And being recruited by Yale, could you talk a little bit about just like your experience growing up in the sport and just being a Black woman in the sport and just your unique challenges associated with that?
Yeah, for sure. I would say my first instance where I can remember a racist comment being made towards me was when I was around 12 or 13, where I was called the N-word by my own teammate. And in this case, I was stunned because one, it was my own teammate, not somebody who I was playing against on the ice, but somebody who I thought was my friend. And from that moment, I just realized that maybe hockey wasn't the space for me. I knew I was great, and I knew I did well in it, but at the same time, I never really had many friends in the game growing up. So with that, I have played hockey. I've played year round for so many years now. I think this is the first summer I really took off from the ice. But I've played on Team Ontario grad, where I won a gold medal at nationals, and then I was also recruited to play for the U18 national team for the IIHF World Championship, where I won a silver medal and unfortunately lost to the US in overtime. But to put on the Canadian jersey as a Black woman was just an incredible experience, just because it's something I always dreamed of, but didn't necessarily have another Black woman to look up to in the game and see wearing the jersey just like I had followed up. So it was definitely an amazing experience to wear that jersey and recognize that I was the only Black woman on my team, and that was the representation that we were going to have as Black players. But from there, I was recruited by multiple schools, had to decide between state schools and Ivy League. But as a Black woman, and just as a woman in general, I knew I wasn't going to make millions of dollars playing hockey. So I decided to join the Ivy League track. And I had always been a straight A student in school. So decided to attend Yale. But yeah, my Yale career was definitely difficult in a sense, just because hockey is obviously a very rich white sport. And at Yale, that just completely blows up, really, just because Yale is a very rich white school. So I definitely had my challenges with my teammates and everything along those lines. And them not understanding the microaggressions and racist comments that they did make. So with that, I had to stick up for myself. But ultimately, I made it to Yale, and I played my Division I career, and I'm so proud of that for sure.
Well, look, I'm so proud of you personally. And, just as a fellow black hockey player growing up playing the sport, I can't imagine being a female playing the sport. I mean, you must have really felt like you were out there on the island by yourself. But, you know, as a pioneer, um, your story is just you're awesome, and it's amazing that you continue to play the sport because what it sounds like, and I can relate to this, is when you are the only black person on the team, you're almost like not part of the team. Like you're on the team, but like you're not as much part of the team as the rest of the girls. I'm sure you felt sometimes just kind of isolated and just not quite part of what culturally and so forth, what's going on. But your skill, your talent shines above all. And at the end of the day, it's a sport, it's a business, it's about winning.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're intelligent, got to go to Yale, which is awesome. And then, you know, let's let's talk a little bit about the draft of the NWHL. I mean,
Yeah.
you drafted fourth
Yes.
overall by the Metropolitan Riveters, right?
Yes. So
Pennsylvania.
yeah, I was drafted fourth overall. Actually, in my senior year, I had a change of coaches. So I had the same coach for my first 3 years at Yale, and then we switched. They were fired, and we had all new coaches my senior year, which I was super nervous about. But at the same time, proved to be incredibly beneficial to me because I had a coach that took me aside and wanted to talk to me in his office and wanted to get to know me on a personal level. And before my senior year, I didn't plan on playing pro. I figured my career was over. And I didn't enjoy the game anymore. But that senior year, my coach came in and made me feel like I had a place and made me feel like I had somebody to listen and try and understand what I was going through. So with that, he convinced me to enter the draft, and I was drafted fourth overall. And I was amazed because I didn't expect to go fourth overall as a big defenseman, but at the same time, I recognized that other people recognize my talent even though I don't always. But yeah, I'm super excited to be at that level of playing professionally.
Yeah, and now you can get what a little more physical with the girls, right? And,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I was the highest penalized player in ECAC hockey last year. But I mean, I've been 5'9", 5'10" since about the sixth grade. So I'm just recently growing into myself and learning that I can't just go full force into other women who are smaller than me. But at the same time, I take pride in the game that I play, and I understand that I am an enforcer and I can do a lot more than just take penalties and stick up for my teammates. I'm a goal scorer and can make those plays and make those assists that my team needs as well.
yeah, that was my next question. Just technically, how are you on the power play?
I think I'm a good defenseman on the power play just because I'm the type to kind of quarterback the play.
Yeah.
I like seeing the ice in front of me, and I like umbrella power play setups just so that I get to be number one at the top of the umbrella. But at that same time, I think I have good vision, good hockey IQ, and for a player of my size, I've always been told that I'm a good skater. So I know that's what Hockey Canada liked about me, and what Yale liked as well. So I take pride in my skating abilities and my shots. So
That's awesome. Now, are you a slap shot or a wrist shot?
oh yeah, slap shot. But
Slap
I mean,
shot.
a lot of them miss the net, but we got to work on that.
That's funny. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you're like kind of like PK Subban a little bit.
Yes, I've been compared to PK. I think he's a little reckless out there on the ice sometimes, but obviously we love the way he plays and love his attitude and energy towards the game. So I'll take that compliment.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, oh, you also do some work just in general with the whole movement of changing hockey culture, Hockey Diversity Alliance. I know you participate in sort of that movement. Could you talk a little bit about just what you're doing with those folks?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say my main volunteer position right now that I love and really enjoy is with Black Girl Hockey Club.
Yeah.
The owner Renee Hess, she's amazing, always so positive and loving. But I was just on the scholarship committee for the club, and we had about I want to say we had about 50 applicants for young Black women who submitted their applications, their grades, and a few short essay questions to us as to what they would use the money for. So we provided scholarships between $1,000 and $5,000 to those recipients, and we're hoping to do that each season after that. And then also just, I mean, I'm a pretty outspoken and outgoing individual. I like to make sure my opinion's heard, and I mean, I know I can be a little out there sometimes, but at the same time, I think that's allowed me to use my platform and say what I want to say. So I got involved with the HDA because I added Evander Kane on Twitter and asked why there wasn't women involved in the HDA, and I was contacted quite quickly after that by him, and he assured me that they had planned on adding women. So we're just waiting on that for them to become a little bit more established. But yeah, super excited about that and to continue advocating within the whole hockey community, because I'm aware that people are listening and they want to hear what I have to say and what I have to say to others in terms of educating, because I do have a lot to say, and I realize that I do have a lot to offer.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it. What are you hoping to impact as far as like the future state of hockey and just Black athletes playing the sport? So, what is your like ideal outcome?
Yeah, I think for representation to be seen and to be heard, I think that as Black players, we don't have a lot of people to look up to. You have the main names in the NHL. You got PK, you got Evander Kane, Simmons. You got those guys. But as for Black women, it's me, Blake Bolden, Sarah Nurse, Kelsey Colzer, and that's really about it. Meanwhile, a lot of my white teammates have a whole team to look up to, have a whole atmosphere where we don't have that. So I think in terms of the hockey community, I want to see more Black voices being heard, and more Black people being implemented into those programs that the main leagues are using, because we need to be heard. And I think that every company needs a strong Black women force behind them, just because we have so much to offer.
Yeah, I know that makes a lot of sense. And there's also like corporate jobs with the leagues and coaching opportunities as well. One of the big things that I really believe in is just exposure.
Yeah,
One of the biggest sort of deterrents for a lot of Black folks getting into hockey is the costs, right? And
yeah,
also the exposure. If you go to sort of like, poorer neighborhoods, Black neighborhoods, there's no ice rinks. There's not even roller hockey rinks
yeah,
really. So just getting that exposure to the sport, um, and teaching our kids how to skate, making some kind of summer program, just creating an opportunity where they can discover the sport. I think it's huge, and I believe that's what a lot of folks are starting to look into
yeah.
with the HDA and other organizations as well. Um, but have you heard anything on that front as far as just like creating rinks and like creating exposure to the sport?
Yeah, so I think a big part of that is the cost and the economic restraints that a lot of our Black communities have. So whether that's providing people with equipment, I know for myself, I never had a new pair of skates until I got to Yale, and I would consider my family middle class. I've always had everything I've needed, always had most things that I've wanted as well. But hockey equipment is expensive, so I think the affordability part is huge, and I know a lot of places, including the NHL, are looking at how we can provide our marginalized communities with that equipment and that ice time that's needed in order to implement these BIPOC people into the sport.
Yeah, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I mean, as we go forward, I think we have we have a great opportunity, especially if we can unite the community, because a lot of us are kind of spread out as Black hockey players.
Yeah,
If we can kind of unite the community, I think between Canada and the U.S. as far as Black hockey players are concerned, I think we can make a real change. I think there's opportunities where we're educated people, we're smart people, but like we were saying, like coaching opportunities, little league coaching opportunities, and just exposure to the sport, and then changing that culture too, so that a young Black kid who experiences racism, at a young age will stick with the sport and not quit. If they hear like a racial slur or something
yeah.
like that. So yeah, I mean we have a lot of work to do. Uh,
Yeah, for sure. There's so much work to do, and I think that it starts with the bigger with the NHL and the NWHL and our OHL, all the leagues, hiring Black people and not hiring Black people for diversity statistics, but hiring us because we are educated and we're strong and we're opinionated and we know what's going on, and we are just as knowledgeable of the sport as anybody else. And with that, I think that more Black people will be able to come and be welcomed into the sport rather than them being separated and not welcomed, really.
yeah, and once again, you're doing a lot. You're doing way more than you probably even know for the sport, and that's why I wanted to have you on my show and get your story out there. I have a lot of like football fans who join my channel, a lot of Black people, and they know that my mission has always been to expose African Americans to the sport of hockey, and just kind of get that fan base going, get some
Yeah.
more kids on the ice, and just start to grow this thing. And your story goes a long way. Really appreciate you taking time to chat. Is there anything else you want to say as far as just like your stance, your ideas? I'll just leave it open to you.
Yeah, I think I just want to continue to help the BIPOC community get into hockey, just because I've seen how hard it is to step into that white space every day and how unwelcoming it can feel. And I think for other Black women in the game, I think it's just, my advice is just to be unapologetically you. I think for me, I often get taken as maybe loud and extra or whatever you may call it, but at the same time I have to realize that that's just me and that's who I am, and who I am is wonderful and great. So to the other Black women out there, is just like to be you and don't worry about what everybody else is saying, because we will make it as far as you wish to go. So just continue to push and open that community up.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's awesome. And to your point, I know a lot of folks get on certain Black players as being arrogant or not good for the game, because I know Canada can be a little conservative in their approach to their hockey players. But of course, if Ovechkin is outspoken, then he's just outspoken. But like
Yeah.
if PK Subban wears a crazy suit, or Evander Kane says something or does something, it's a double standard. And you're
Yeah.
right. Be ourselves, and let's dominate this sport. You know. Um, so where can we find you on online, like social media and so forth?
Yeah, so on Instagram and Twitter, I'm under Saroya Tinker 71. And then through that, I have my link tree on both of my social media platforms that I use the most. And that'll connect you to my mentorship website, my other forms of social media, and my email. And I think even my phone number possibly is on there. So my DMs and my email is always open. I'm more than happy to help whoever comes along my path. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess my last question for you is something that might help a lot of college grads. So what is it like? So you have a Yale degree, you have a professional hockey career. What's it like in the COVID year of graduation and just going through, with leagues kind of delaying things
Yeah.
and so forth? What's this 2020 been like?
I don't really do well with uncertainty. I'm somebody who has my days planned out to a T, and when they don't go that way, I kind of got to rework things. But I think at the beginning of COVID, I mean, I obviously wasn't able to have a graduation. We had it via Zoom, so that was a little bit of a disappointment just to not be able to walk across that Yale stage and feel like you got that Ivy League degree. So we're still hoping for that in the future for them to have a ceremony for us. But other than that, I think it's honestly been great because I feel like this is the first time in my life that I've really sat back and been able to reflect on my own life and what I want. I feel like I've always been so focused on getting my straight A's in school um, and just being the best hockey player I can be. But right now, I'm just trying to be the best Saroya that I can be, whether that's working out consistently, obviously for training, or even just like reading a book that doesn't have anything to do with class. Just things as simple as that. So I think in the beginning I was a little antsy with the uncertainty, but since then, now I think I've come into my own more and know who I am, and I think it's going to help me moving forward into the workforce and whatever else my life holds for me.
Well, listen, you're a blessing to us all. Your story is truly inspirational, and the cool part is that you're just getting started.
Yes,
Um, tenacity to have the career that you've had so far. Sky's the limit. It's um, it's going to be awesome to see what you do next. We'll definitely be watching,
for
and
sure.
let's definitely stay in touch. And I love to hear the updates and watch as you continue to grow and kick down doors and be a pioneer.
For
And
sure.
just thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been awesome. I think a lot of folks will get a lot from this interview. Really do. I have a niece who is actually about the same age as you,
Okay.
but yeah, I think she get a lot from this. And I just know so many, little Black girls out there who, you know, even if it's not hockey, even if it's something else that they want to be, can look
Yeah,
at you for inspiration. And it's just, I just thank you. It's just awesome.
for sure. Thank you
Awesome.
for having me on. I think as long as I can, if I reach one person, that's amazing to me. So I'm glad that it'll be out there for other women to listen to and whoever else. So I love that. So thank you for having me on.
But thank you. I hope you have a great evening. And yeah, we will follow you on social media, and I will be in touch.
All right, sounds good. Have a good night.
All righty. Have a great evening.